Some individuals lay traps for others, believing they will triumph through sabotage. But more often than not, those very traps become the beginning of their own undoing. When someone places thorns in your path hoping to watch you stumble, the universe has a way of responding. And in most cases, those thorns end up cutting the very hands that scattered them. What we are witnessing is not chance, it is the law of cosmic balance in full operation. This is not a message of revenge. It's a reminder of alignment. Of how the chosen one doesn't need to shout, retaliate, or descend into chaos to be seen. In truth, the most powerful statement is silence, and the most undeniable presence is one that no longer requires validation. Today's message is for those who have quietly endured, grown, and transcended the noise. Let us begin. The urge to explain, to justify, or to be understood often comes from the remnants of the past self. But as you ascend, you begin to realize that those who question your energy are rarely trying to understand it. They're often attempting to manage, control, or dilute it. Insecurity doesn't tolerate authenticity, and in environments where control is currency, your independence becomes a threat. But chosen ones evolve. You're no longer responding to the old invitations to argue. You're not placing your clarity up for debate. Those who misunderstood you never saw you. And those who feared your depth never had the tools to grasp it. Let them watch. Your rise is no longer subject to their perception. In a culture that equates noise with power, silence becomes misunderstood. But the truth is this: silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Those who yell the loudest often have the least to offer. The chosen one, in contrast, no longer engages out of impulse. There's no need to clap back when the echo of their own words becomes louder than your presence. Your restraint is not an absence. It's a boundary. It communicates, without provocation, that you have risen beyond the realm of argument. Those attempting to provoke you are not seeking truth, they are craving attention. But you are not accessible through chaos anymore. Your presence alone communicates finality. Attacks often reveal admiration in disguise. The criticisms, the mockery, the false narratives, they originate from a place of insecurity. When someone recognizes strength they cannot replicate, their defense mechanism is often to diminish what they can't control. But chosen ones don't operate at the level of distraction. You have already learned that responding to every opinion diminishes your focus. You no longer seek to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. Your silence is not just power, it's protection. Let them throw shadows. You don't exist to explain your light. Often, closure is sought not for healing, but for validation. But waiting for an apology or an explanation from someone who harmed you is to tether your peace to their conscience. And more often than not, they're not capable of offering either. Their continued fixation is all the confirmation you need. When someone moves on, they move quietly. Obsession, on the other hand, reveals itself through mimicry, gossip, and fixation on your progress. Chosen one, you do not need their closure. Your healing is not a group project. And your elevation doesn't require a witness. When the truth stands tall, the lies become loud. Their attempts to reshape narratives are not about you, they're about controlling how others perceive their failures. But you don't need to engage. You've outgrown the need to prove your value to those who doubted it. The best response to distortion is demonstration. Your consistency, your peace, your progress, that is the evidence. Not in words, but in living proof. Let the noise continue. Time is always on the side of truth. Pain, discomfort, and pressure are not always adversaries. Sometimes, they are agents of transformation. The chosen ones go through fire not to be destroyed but to be refined. This fire burns away everything that was temporary, artificial, or misaligned. The friendships that vanished under stress, the support that disappeared when you needed it most, those weren't losses. They were filters. They were part of the process that revealed what could and couldn't stand the heat of your transformation. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Growth will always be labeled betrayal by those who benefited from your confinement. They say you changed, but the truth is, you broke free. You stopped shrinking. You stopped editing your truth for someone else's comfort. And that shift exposed their fear. You are not here to maintain someone else's illusion of control. You were not born to sit quietly in spaces where your presence is barely tolerated. The discomfort they feel is not your rebellion, it's your authenticity finally being unmasked. There's no need to apologize for doing what you had to do to breathe. There comes a point where waiting becomes another form of fear. Waiting for approval, for the green light, for someone else to say you're ready, that keeps you stuck in cycles of hesitation. But you weren't chosen to conform. You were chosen to lead. The people whose opinions you worry about are often incapable of understanding your path. Their advice is rooted in safety, not vision. Release the need for external validation. You weren't made to blend in. Your originality is not a liability, it's the blueprint. There's no need for grand exits or dramatic statements. Detachment doesn't need an announcement. It needs consistency. Those who once thrived on your reactions now find themselves shouting into silence. When you stop responding, you remove their source of energy. And as their control fades, their narrative begins to crumble. You didn't disappear. You evolved. And in doing so, you reclaimed every part of yourself they tried to own. Your light will always make shadows uncomfortable. But those shadows are not your responsibility. Every sideways comment, every backhanded compliment, every condescending tone, none of it is about you. It is a projection of their internal discomfort. You are not here to dim your light so others can feel comfortable in their darkness. The resentment you face is simply feedback. They see what you've become, and it reminds them of everything they haven't addressed within themselves. Keep shining anyway. Your time is sacred. Your focus is power. And those who seek to disrupt that focus are not just wasting your time, they are delaying your purpose. Not every message deserves a response. Not every slight needs correction. The distractions will increase as you near your breakthrough, but they are only a sign of proximity to something greater. Let the distractions be noise while you remain the signal. There's a shift that happens when you walk in alignment. You become visible not just to supporters, but to opponents. Their resistance isn't a setback, it's proof of your impact. Every insult confirms your authenticity. Every betrayal sharpens your discernment. You are no longer confused by the resistance, it's expected. You are not here to be liked. You are here to walk in power. And that power will always disrupt those who operate in manipulation. As we close this first part of the message, take a breath and center yourself. The noise was never your competition. The attacks were never your measure. What matters is who you've become in the silence, and what you're building as you move forward. Stay grounded, chosen one. You've passed the point of needing permission. Now, it's time to step fully into alignment. The further you rise, the louder they get. Their narratives, however fabricated, are all symptoms of one truth: they can no longer reach you. And when people can no longer control or access you, they resort to creating stories that attempt to explain your absence. But what they miss is this: the moment you chose peace, you chose elevation. And that elevation now places you beyond their projections. Let them talk. Let them misinterpret. Your job is not to correct their imagination. It's to live the truth they're too afraid to accept. Your success doesn't require their agreement. It's already unfolding without their permission. Difficult seasons are not evidence that you are off track. Quite the opposite. The fire comes to refine, to purify, to burn off the attachments, illusions, and dependencies that have no place in your next chapter. And make no mistake, chosen one, this fire was custom built for you. It will not consume you, but it will consume what cannot go forward with you. What you are enduring is not misfortune. It is intentional evolution. When people fall away, when false peace crumbles, and when silence becomes the loudest presence in your life, know this: you are not being abandoned. You are being advanced. To those who once called you family, friend, or partner, your growth may now seem like betrayal. But the truth is, the environment they built around you was not a sanctuary. It was a cage. And now that you've broken free, they demand explanation. They want a justification for why you no longer dim your light, why you no longer overextend, or why you no longer allow access to the parts of you they took for granted. But chosen one, you owe no apology for reclaiming your power. You were never meant to stay where you were merely tolerated. You were designed for spaces that recognize, respect, and rise with your presence. You've already wasted too many seasons trying to earn the validation of people who were never built to see you clearly. Their approval is fleeting, conditional, and rooted in control. And every time you compromise to keep their approval, you delayed your assignment. Now, you're being called to lead without applause. To step forward without guarantees. To build even when no one claps. Because the chosen one does not wait for consensus to act. You've been wired differently, not to conform, but to create. Purpose will always demand what popularity never will: integrity, solitude, and audacity. Detachment is not cruelty. It is clarity. And when you detach from those who once depended on your brokenness to feel whole, you shift the entire dynamic. Suddenly, their tactics no longer work. Their provocations go unanswered. Their drama collapses under its own weight. This is the gift of distance. They will never admit it, but your silence speaks louder than any rebuttal. And they are now left to face what they tried to distract themselves from: their own unhealed selves. You didn't punish them. You simply stopped participating. And that is what broke their hold. Your ability to stay grounded while others spiral is not cold, it is disciplined. Chosen ones are not here to carry the emotional weight of those who refuse to self-reflect. You are not a sponge for their insecurity. You are a mirror. And when your light exposes their shadows, don't take it personally. It's not you they're rejecting, it's their own unprocessed wounds. Let them flinch. Let them deflect. You do not need to absorb their discomfort. You are here to elevate beyond it. Just before significant elevation, life tests your focus. Distractions arise not because you're off track, but because you're dangerously close to alignment. Suddenly, the texts come through. The invitations return. The voices that once doubted you now seek to reattach themselves. But look closely, it's not reconciliation, it's disruption. You're not being welcomed back, you're being tested. And the test is this: can you stay focused when it's tempting to entertain familiarity? The chosen one knows, the price of progress is often isolation. But that isolation breeds the clarity that keeps you grounded when the spotlight arrives. Every attempt to discredit, discourage, or delay you is evidence that your movement is creating impact. Let their resistance serve as your compass. Let their discomfort confirm your calling. Because the more you evolve, the more visible your power becomes, not just to allies, but to adversaries. And those adversaries are loud not because you're wrong, but because your presence dismantles their illusion of control. So walk boldly. Speak wisely. Move intentionally. You are not under attack, you are under refinement. Most hostility toward you isn't personal. It's symbolic. You represent the version of themselves they're too afraid to become. Your courage makes their excuses feel hollow. Your growth makes their stagnation look obvious. Your alignment makes their compromise impossible to ignore. So instead of admiring your progress, they'll mock it. Instead of emulating your discipline, they'll question your intentions. But you don't have to react. Their perception is not your responsibility. You were not sent here to soothe their wounds. You were sent to remind them that healing is possible. Not everyone is meant to understand your path. And trying to convince people who are invested in your former self only wastes the momentum you've built. Chosen ones are misunderstood not because they're wrong, but because they're ahead. You've seen the pattern. You've walked the pain. You've earned the clarity. And now, explanations are unnecessary. Those who are meant to walk with you won't need convincing. And those who need convincing aren't meant to walk with you. Keep moving. The road forward only opens when you stop looking back. It's easy to chase applause. But chosen ones are not called to be liked, they're called to be remembered. And legacy is not built through popularity. It's built through discipline, sacrifice, and resilience. When you make peace with being misunderstood, you unlock the freedom to build authentically. You're not here for validation. You're here for impact. The people who once dismissed you will study you. The ones who ignored your presence will revisit your silence. And the legacy you leave behind will echo far louder than their opinions ever could. There is power in consistency. Many can start. Few can endure. But the chosen one isn't just a visionary, they're a finisher. Even when it's hard. Even when the applause fades. Even when the path narrows. You're not walking this road to impress. You're walking it to complete a divine assignment. And the most powerful confirmation that you're still aligned? You keep showing up. Quietly. Boldly. Unapologetically. Finish what you started. The noise will fade. But the legacy will remain. This is more than resilience. It's alignment. It's purpose moving through you. You didn't come this far to return to cycles you've already broken. You didn't heal just to reattach. You didn't elevate to negotiate your worth. You are not being asked to fight for your future. You are being invited to claim it. Transition to final segment. In the final segment, we'll anchor everything you've heard and felt today into one unified truth: the rise of the chosen one is not about revenge, validation, or comparison. It is about embodiment. About becoming the full expression of who you were always meant to be. Chosen one, as we reach the end of this journey, it's important to recognize what this path has always been about. It was never about proving anyone wrong. It was never about revenge, validation, or recognition. It was always about becoming. You are not here to return fire with fire. You are not here to match their energy. You are here to rise in a way that no longer requires permission, applause, or understanding. The truth is, everything that tried to break you was only allowed to come close so it could strengthen you. The very pressure you thought would destroy you was actually shaping your capacity to carry what's coming next. You've outgrown survival. You've stepped into stewardship. The version of you that once tolerated chaos, noise, and compromise has expired. And what now stands in its place is a refined, awakened presence, one that is no longer swayed by the opinions of those who never understood the depth of your calling. There's a reason you felt everything in this message. Because you're not hearing these words by accident. You're aligned. You've been sensing the shift, even when you couldn't explain it. The disconnects, the sudden losses, the silence, all of it was preparation. The universe has been cutting the cords that kept you tied to what was no longer in alignment. You may not have received the closure you thought you needed, but you received clarity, and that's more powerful. You may not have heard the apologies you deserved, but you received peace, and that's far more healing. You may not have been celebrated where you started, but where you're going, you'll no longer need to explain your worth. You'll simply walk in it. And that is the true rise of the chosen one, not in noise, but in knowing. Not in chasing, but in embodying. Not in proving, but in becoming. So what happens now? You move forward, not faster, but deeper. You stop revisiting closed chapters. You stop negotiating with guilt. You stop handing your energy to distractions that only delay your mission. The world doesn't need another person trying to fit in. It needs someone like you to stand out, with integrity, with intention, and with spiritual authority. You are not here to mirror pain. You are here to transform it. You are not here to respond to every attack. You are here to walk so steadily in purpose that your path speaks louder than any rebuttal ever could. Your presence will do what your words no longer need to. Let them say what they want. Let them wonder why you changed. Let them whisper, gossip, or speculate. That's no longer your concern. You didn't come here to manage their misunderstandings. You came here to build what hasn't yet existed. And you're doing it, silently, consistently, powerfully. So as you walk away from this message, remember this: nothing they said, did, or believed about you defines who you are becoming. Only your growth, your choices, and your alignment do. The most powerful form of revenge is no revenge at all. It's living in such truth, peace, and purpose that those who tried to break you can no longer access you. You are the storm they didn't see coming. You are the peace they can't disrupt. And now, the rise begins, not as an announcement, but as a transformation. The chosen one doesn't need to shout. They only need to show up. And you, chosen one, have already arrived. Keep walking. Keep building. Keep becoming. The legacy you were born for is waiting. And it starts with who you decide to be, right now. Chosen one, if this message resonated with your spirit, it's not by coincidence, it's by alignment. You didn't stumble upon this truth. You were guided here. Every word you heard, every insight that stirred something deep within you, was part of the confirmation you've been seeking. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Now is the time to mark this shift in your journey with intention. If you felt the power of this message, do 3 simple but significant things. First, like this video. Not for validation, but as an energetic signal. A quiet declaration to the universe that you are aligned, you are aware, and you are ready. Second, subscribe to this channel. Because this space is more than content, it's a community. A sanctuary for those walking the narrow path. A place where clarity, strength, and purpose are nurtured and protected. Stay connected to the frequency that reminds you of who you are. Third, drop the number 777 in the comments. That number isn't random. It's a sacred seal. A numerical imprint that signals divine alignment, protection, and confirmation. When you write 777, you're not just commenting, you're claiming. You're anchoring this moment in your timeline. And if you know someone who needs this message, someone quietly battling doubt, someone carrying silent strength, share this with them. You never know how one message can spark a breakthrough.